All right, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you had a wonderful day. It was actually a really chill day in the market, and I thought I was going to have a chill day too. And I was typing out the watch list, and by the that's me. And by the end of it, I was like, wow. There's a lot that we have to talk about, and really, it's going to require a little bit of juggling, and we got to entertain two or three different things all at the same time. We have to talk about this silent market bottom, what has happened today, and what some people are talking about on Wall Street. I think it's very important, not to mention the history of it. Then we got to talk a little bit about the slowness of the market and how to handle that. And then finally, just the policy and what to really expect. So we got a lot that we're going to have to juggle here. I do have a couple of pretty pictures that I want to go over, but when it's all said and done, today was a lot different than any of the other days. Not only did you not hear calamity and a major good news, bad news, history, 5%, 4% volatility, it was surprisingly chill. And even all of that news yesterday, this whole idea of that chip deal, even a lot of people were like, wait, he walked it back. It's this, it's that. The market still didn't really have an answer on that today. He talked about it a little bit. He did mention the auto companies, and we had a little bit of reprieve. He did talk about some of the pharmaceutical tariffs, but when it's all said and done, today was a lot slower in terms of the market. You got a couple of headlines, but nothing majorly different. And now, again, the question of permanent damage and whether or not we have surpassed peak volatility, that is very, very, very important right now. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the bulls, the bears, all of it, the data, and it's very important. So Chatadonia, how you living, baby? How you living? Good evening, man. Good evening. No, you're the best page on the internet, man. Shout out to Cole, baby. What up, man? What up, Tim? Mario, Star, Big Danny, and Spencer Vacation, baby. How you doing? What up, Dago? What up, Ram? What up, NRG? What up, Danny, Laurie, Mr. Edwards, Ryan Mullen, Tim Brady, Ivy, Bass, DK Physics. What's going on? How you doing, Malik? What up, Javier? What up, Gangster? Are there a little gangster, a little watch list there with a little long-term, dude? Oh, dude, what up, Tim Women, dude? Jamal, dude? Oh, what up, Jordan Brooks, dude? NYC, dude? Oh, dude, little New York, dude? Little Statue of Liberty, dude? Oh, man, so blame him. Blame the guy named Dankstar. So we have a lot to talk about, Chad. I hope you guys are living good. So please, what kind of host would I be? In the like culture, Habibi, oh my gosh, I forgot about the Twitch. Oh, yeah, Twitch, I neglected you. How are you, Twitch? Oh, what's up, baby? Yeah, I had to put on the Twitch. Because then at least, hey, you guys had a shot. I gave you guys a window. Twitch, you get a window. You got to work a little harder in life because you were born into the Twitch family. So I'm sorry. I don't blame me, bro. You take that up with whomever, but I'm still a good host, okay? Because what kind of host would I be if I didn't start with pretty pictures? Habibi, in my country, you start with a pretty picture, and then you get it to the key, and then you get it to the play. Come on, Habibi. Very, very, very culture. So look at this chart. I think it's actually fascinating. I don't know where they even get this data, to be honest. I'm not going to lie to you. I think it's very wild because it goes back to 1929. But essentially, last week, that little back and forth, the one-day change percentage, I hope you guys realize, besides the great financial crisis, the only other time you move like that was literally World War II in like 1929. So why is this important? Because today, even how we arrived into the market, there was even that rumor, and again, even though it was like walked back but wasn't, and there were still details, like we said, the important part about it was that there was an off-ramp. Make no mistake, the big thing with yesterday's news, it was that regardless if they said they're going to change it and still hit the chip companies, it had to do with that you knew what was actually going to be exempt. But when it's all said and done, you know, this kind of hangover, volatility, the VIX is actually coming down, and today wasn't as insane. Even if you got a couple of headlines, it's just like you got to really realize, man, last week, a couple weeks ago, the last 2-3 weeks, it was intense. And these were historic moves. And that's what this chart is showing you, in terms of one-day moves. I mean, this was one for the history book. So keep that in mind because this is like the first Monday after that. Do you understand? So today, what we just traded, tomorrow, what you're going to trade, that'll be the first Tuesday. But like this is the first week after this type of move. And it's pretty crazy where it stands. Again, we're going to have to deal with a lot of stuff. That's one of those other themes is that no matter what, man, we are not done when it's all said and done. So that's your first pretty picture. The second one now, this has to do with the silent bottoming out. And some people are starting to get a little bullish. They think it's going to be interesting, but long story short, add this to your short-term, your long-term, however way you want to chop it up, my friends. But consumer sentiment might be a buy signal. Oh, what up, Yuliong? A hundo on a watch list. Look at that. Y'all just want to turn up on a watch list, huh? What up, baby? I appreciate you, Ghost. That's the translation for the people. They don't know, Habibi. Yuliong, baby. Thank you, my friend. So that's number 2. So consumer sentiment. Yuliong's feeling good. If he had blue hair and was not in Michigan, I don't think he would agree. But the point is, anytime consumer sentiment has actually gone this low, it has been a very good buy signal for stocks in the next 12 months. So what this chart is showing you is pretty much what stocks have done anytime in 12 months after hitting a low. So right now we're at 59.4. The last time you were pretty much this low, and it wasn't, you hit it a couple times on the way down here, so don't ignore that. But pretty much you bounced 43%. 2011, you had a couple of these bounces, and then there's been some smaller ones throughout. The average, this is just where consumer sentiment usually is at. So these signals, kind of tell you to sell more or less, but they're not really that crazy. But again, this is, wire's blocking it. But again, this is one of those things right here. So yeah, this is where you're at as of right now. And that's what I was saying. It kind of ignores some of those other points, but this is one of those things where, this is where you have to learn to balance a couple of things, because like I'm showing you now, this is the bullish part of the video, but we have to talk about a lot of other things. Who is it? Aristotle. He is the one who says it is the mark of an educated mind to be able to entertain multiple things without accepting them. So the thing about this, and I think even this chart and some of the bullish stuff that people on Wall Street are talking about now, we didn't fully hit the bear market. Trump kind of had a little bit of the pivot. Maybe you did go through peak volatility, but when you look at stuff like this is just saying that, yeah, maybe the next week, 2 weeks, maybe the next month or couple months might be very volatile. But usually, if you're going to look at where we're at pretty much April 2026, you should expect the market to be higher than where it is right now. Or usually anytime people have gotten this depressed, it has been. So there's no guarantee of that. So we'll see how that plays out. But now the final part, it kind of plays in because the other record, coming in from last weekend, and even into today, and today started off slow, but it advanced. The gap upheld the rumors, and even if there was people debating all of the chip stuff, you went higher. You held up the rally. You held up that historic move. And last week, another one of these bullish indicators is you had historic volume. Again, you may have heard some of those headlines about people talking about the record amounts of volume. Well, factor that into today and everything else, you're still holding up. This is another one of those 12 months later when volume usually goes this high. Again, any of the other bigger events you could kind of see, anytime volume peaks out, those have been some market bottoms. So this is what's getting people excited. Now, not too fast. You are not out of the woods just yet, Chattadonia. And now that's pretty much what leads us into the first key. So again, I don't know if you are surprised by what you saw today, but I was pretty surprised. Why? Because all of a sudden, Friday, if you guys don't remember, consumer sentiment, that came in really aggressive, and it's like they saw all of our videos and they saw everybody respond, and then all of a sudden, the market just went cold on consumer sentiment, stopped reacting, which is good. But we were expecting something a little bigger. And then now today, after all of this, all of these things I've showed you, from volume to everything, even the earnings, and we even had a little bit of news today, all of a sudden the markets are trading less than 1%. We barely are swinging intraday. Seems a little bit calm. You should be a little bit surprised. And now the good news of all of this is that you didn't have any negative developments today. And I think that's very important, because it's not like we pushed the envelope and looked over the edge. But on the other side, don't forget, volatility is not over. And that's kind of the thing that sucks about this, because if we do start to just slow down, that can happen. And we could stay like this all week, for crying out loud, and then all of a sudden you speed up. Again, if I go back to some of those historical charts, like I was telling you guys, any other time we've moved like this, you don't want to be in this type of company. We are still in volatility. You don't just have a record day and then that's it, and then you just stroll on in to 0.75% days for the next year. You're going to probably encounter another volatile day, but people are debating this whole idea. Is there permanent damage? Have we kind of hit peak volatility at the same time? And where do we go from here? So that's the part where I think this week is going to actually be very pivotal. This week, next week, I have a theory here. We'll see if we actually do get bottomed out, but I think that's going to be the tricky part, is that you're going to have people kind of debating the bullish, bearish. We've already sold off a lot, but I think it's going to be confusing if we move slow, and I don't know if people are used to that. It went from everybody was feeling one way to all of a sudden the markets had their rug pulled from underneath them. There's high uncertainty. I don't know how people are going to react in a slow environment, but I think that's something we might have to adjust for. But now, that being said, what we got to really be paying attention for, I think it's going to have to do with earnings. So this week now, I think you're still kind of holding up this idea of a pivot and tensions calming down. If we do get any negative policy developments, everything I'm saying, throw it out the window. I hope you guys are hearing me. So if Trump wakes up tomorrow and he's like, you know what? No more pass. Press play. No pass. No 90 days. Never mind. Then throw everything I'm saying on this watch list out the window. None of what I'm saying will be relevant anymore. But assuming that you keep following this, okay, we're getting a pause here, maybe chips here, you know what I'm saying? Just walking things back and not being as aggressive, but you're not getting any new major negative developments. I think the market's going to move very slow, and it's going to be all about earnings. So as long as there's no negative developments, this could even feed into the silent market bottom. Wednesday, we are going to hear from Jerome Powell. He'll get retail sales. I do think there's a trade negotiation with Japan. Scott Bessent mentioned something, and even then, Scott Bessent sounded pretty bullish with things, but most of the schedule, it's looking favorable. You might hear more positive trade deals rather than worse. I don't think you're going to get more negative developments rather than positive developments, or if nothing happens, the market's attention will be put towards earnings. Now, that'll be the other X factor, because if the earnings start to get really sour, that won't be good. But remember, like companies like Walmart and a few others, even the banks, they've already done pretty good, so not as bad as some of this preliminary fear that got us almost into a bear market. So other than that, though, it's around this holiday. So if you guys don't know, Easter is on Sunday. That's why I have He Is Risen. But the market is closed on Friday for Good Friday. But after that, I believe on the 24th, so like the week after Easter, He Is Risen, the buyback window opens back up. And if we are going to really start to see a market bottom and we're going to walk back from some of this, you might watch it around after Easter. So keep that date in mind, finger to the sky. But other than that, I will point this out to you. When this is all said and done, when you look at the market the last couple days, even the bonds, this is starting to look like that recalibration I was telling you about. The market had to absorb what really happened that day. You haven't seen that in literally a handful of times of history. Sell off, hold up, go up a little higher. Today, you hold up the rumor, the bonds stop dying. We're still trying to figure out, again, is this it? Was that the peak? Are we walking back from the edge? So on and so forth. So we'll see how that develops when it's all said and done. And again, the next couple of weeks now, mix it in with earnings, I think we'll start to get some other signals. So watch out for that. That is key number 2. And then finally, this is my favorite one. I love this one. This one's good. Are you ready? You guys did it. Congratulations. And I mean everybody who just got magically scared out of nowhere. It's good. I'm proud of you. It's a good thing, honestly, because people were very oblivious of this, whether willfully or forcefully. But do you realize that right now, the risk of recession is higher than the risk of inflation going up? So now the fear has hit hard enough where literally, if you're like, oh my gosh, I'm worried about inflation, on paper, statistically, with banks and everything, you should actually be more worried about a recession. So this is going to start playing out, and it already is in many plays or many areas where essentially, people are more reacting and pricing in a recession rather than inflation. It's not about, okay, do we worry about prices rocketing up and inflation going up? The Fed hasn't admitted it yet, but Wall Street and a lot of the data so far, more or less, and what you're seeing and still holding down this low, unless there's a magical crazy bounce, this is all just saying the risk of recession is higher than the risk of inflation. And you might hear this more, especially, again, depending on the data. And if the jobs start to sour, you're going to start to hear this more, and this will get solidified. So keep that in mind. But one important thing, Besant and Powell are not worried yet. So Besant had an interview today after the bell, and he was talking about a lot of things. It was good to hear it. He was even saying he thinks the VIX topped out, which was an interesting comment. But he also was just talking about meeting up with Powell, and he said him and Powell saw nothing wrong with the bond market. So nobody's panicking. Trump's made a couple comments. Everyone, myself included, were kind of assuming that there was a Trump put. Besant and Powell are saying nothing, but no one at the same time, they're not rushing to reassure you. So it's a very interesting point of where we're still at. So I still think we need to recalibrate some, and we're going to get a little bit more details here, again, just on market moves all the way down to really where all this trade stuff is going to end. But you're still in a weird in-between, and I hope that example explains it, because again, the same central bankers, treasurer, they're not saying, no, we have a problem. They're not panicking. And then at the same time, they're not no, it's sound and resilient. They're just kind of defending themselves, but not, they're here and there, but making a lot of moves. So still a very uncertain time, and that's where the whole permanent damage question comes into play. But we will see how it all lines up. But other than that, Chattadonia, I think it's going to be very slow, and that's even now word to the second key, just because, key number 1, it was very slow, and I'd get ready for that. So we're going to talk about a couple of moves, but I hope you are either prepared for people getting really aggressive if we get news headlines that match with it, but maybe we might have to take a week where you don't swing 5, 10, 15% and everything in the world is on fire. But now, let us get into the plays. So, right off the bat, this one was great, man, but I'm kind of regretting it. TMC and materials. And are you ready? So are you ready for this? I thought there was going to be a bill for this that was signed today. Apparently, it's just a rumor. So there's a rumor that the Trump admin is going to be signing a bill to stockpile rare earths in the ocean. This is just a pure rumor. And it's been widely circulated. My algo picked it up in the morning. And that's why I was like, I thought this was an official thing, but you didn't get it. So TMC ran up. This is one that I played, but MP, that was the other winner. So just be on the lookout for this. At this point, it's going to be buy the rumor, sell the news. But at the end of the day, it is literally one that I ghetto spreaded. So this one was very interesting because essentially we went over the news in the morning, heard about it, and I waited in the morning. They kind of lagged, but oh no, I didn't grab MPC. I grabbed TMC. But TMC, I actually went with the made contracts. But what I want you guys to notice with this one, the ghetto spread is alive and well. So hopefully you either make your plays free, but this one, I grabbed the 350s this morning for 20 cents. So they went up 100%. I could have made them free, but before they went up 100%, I noticed these ones went to 25 cents. So I just sold the same amount, and I pretty much bought the 350s for 20 cents. And then I shorted the $4 contracts for 20 cents. Got all my money back, and I make 50 cents per contract. But then this thing just went crazy after the bell. So now they're in the money. But we'll see how those value tomorrow. I think he'll watch a nice gap. But wait, essentially, when that news probably does come out, it might sell off. But till then, people are talking about this material stockpile, and we haven't really had an official announcement yet. So keep your eyes out for that. Think that'll be interesting. Oh, I didn't show you guys on the other one. I switched over to Twitch. I just showed the option chain. It's okay. It's okay if you can't see. It's okay. You can imagine. Ghetto spread. But yeah, you just short the other contract and get back. So bought the 350, shorted the $4 ones for the same price. But that is play number one. Watch out for those. And then play number two, NVIDIA. And what I want you to think about, this is the worst case scenario. So this is a little watch list gem for you. It may not mean anything, but they cut the watch list off, but the Twitch is still here, and the YouTube's back up. Hello, we're back. Well, there you go. So where was I? Yes. Maybe they didn't like this idea, but have you heard about companies? This watchlist gem for you. Like I said, this might not happen. There's no guaranteed. And that's why I'm just telling you the worst case scenario. But have you heard this idea of companies cutting guidance? I don't know. I think it was Dan Ives. That's what I was saying there before it cut out. I think Dan Ives and a few others. This idea has been going around. Well, yeah, long story short, I just want you to imagine, what would it look like if NVIDIA cut guidance? Not like lowered it, but like what if Jensen was like, screw it. We can't give guidance. Could be good, could be bad. I don't know, but that would be a volatile outcome. So that's worst case scenario when it comes to this idea. But people are talking about guidance, and I think this is just word to the fact that earnings are coming up, man. And if the market really has kind of dealt with max pressure campaign from policy and trade, we're going to be focusing on earnings. And now the theme of this earnings, are these companies going to cave to the pressure? Are they going to panic like the media and some of Main Street has? Or are they going to pull Walmart's out of a hat and say, no, we're fine, we have nothing to worry about? Or are they going to start pulling guidance, and are they going to start beefing and cause or confirm some of that worry? What's Nike going to do? What's the chips going to do? And again, the worst case scenario, or I really think a volatile outcome would be if like a company like NVIDIA or even like a Meta, if they have any bad outcomes here, but you know, some of these other broader narratives that are still a big driver, if they get weakened, that would not be good at this moment. And I'm sure you can imagine why. So watch out for that. But I think it's an interesting idea. If it happens, you might be reminded of this watch list. But that is key number two. And then finally, or play number two, play number three, Labu Biotech. So this one I think is going to be fascinating because it's either going to have a really big move or it's going to do nothing at all because it keeps being talked about. But then you see the materials, like the materials that keeps getting talked about, and then they still like kind of run up randomly. So this biotech thing, bro, we've been talking biotechs for a couple months now, if you think about it. And I've been showing you that reciprocal chart from a couple months ago, and then we heard from it, the main countries, we've been hearing all of these back and forth, but when it's all said and done, there is no clear details yet on the biotechs and the tariffs, and it seems like it's going to be tied into everything, even these like 90-day delays, but there was news of it. They said the White House, Trump even brought it up today, but point is, it's either been talked about so much that when they announce it, it's going to kind of already be blunted because how some of them already moved, or depending on the announcement, if that's one kind of like the tariffs where it's like objectively large and bad, that could cause a major reaction, or we'll just see where people go and who the winners and losers are. But watch out for that. Remember, I flipped it a couple months ago. I haven't played it since then, so maybe we could take another look. Maybe this is the week. Maybe it's not. But other than that, we'll see where everything takes us, and definitely get ready to adjust for the speed. So I'll show you one play today, because this was the play that I said was the sweet spot, and I want you to really see this because in the morning and how we really made money today, there was a near the money, but essentially we like sold off in the morning. I played a couple of individual plays. Those HIIs, I made a play on them. They went up 100%. Those did good. The Intels from Friday, they did good. Made those free. I went up with a cheap Apple play. They got wiped in the morning. What else did I do? I grabbed a cheap 3-cent, 2-cent TLT put, added those for the next like day or so. Then we again got the TMC. That one ended up hitting very well. Our big play was the GM. That was like a 300%er. And then the SPY, it was like right around like one of these lows right around here. Started looking at SPY calls, and I even stream alerted it early. And I said that the tomorrow, would that be to the 15th? Yeah. I said these were the sweet spot, but I said at 30 cents. So then by the time they got to 30 cents, we were seeing the market. Things weren't really like developing. It was really slow. And I told them, go one strike closer, and you're going to want this one around 30. And that thing pretty much stayed there the whole day, even though we ended up running. And then eventually it died. And very early on, I took a loss on this one, switched to that one, played it for a little bit, got out break even. But the move today, when it was this slow, you had to go near the money. I was watching this one, and some of the near the monies did go up a little bit. You have to get like really like close to the money just to even get a gain. And that's like you couldn't buy it in the morning. You had to like bottom ticket. But really the move today, when the volatility and prices are still high and it wasn't really there and there's no catalyst, the move was just getting out, saving our money, and not wasting your time getting chipped apart. So keep that in mind, because some of these days it's been very fast. I think there's opportunity. And the way you're going to do very good is knowing when to stop and slow down with the market and then get back into it. Because here's the deal. You may not like it, and you're like, oh, I don't like it when the market slowed down. The premium, I wanted to do something every day. I don't want to be patient. But here's the deal. The good part is that premiums are going to come down. So that means you'll be able to get cheaper plays. The VIX will calm down, and there's not going to be these wild-ass plays. You see what I'm saying? So catch 22. You may not get a play today. You may not get a play tomorrow. Maybe all week is really slow, but if this kind of brings back some of the cheaper premiums, that could be a good one. And then, again, just wait till there's easy catalysts. Like we've talked about during this Trump chop, you don't want to get caught up in the chop. You want the easy move up, easy move down. That's where you're going to be able to make your money. So be careful. We'll see where it leads us from here, but other than that, that's all that I did, what I've done, and I think tomorrow should be a good one. I think it'll be an easy, chill one. I'll get some rest, and that is your watch list, ladies and gentlemen. So I think, a good 29 minutes for all of it. Oh, beautiful. For any of the recap people. So is there any questions? I can't hang out too long today. I got to eat. I even got to eat today. I'm hungry, bro. I'm hungry. If you stick around, you'll get ahead of the dopamine gamblers. Yeah, you'll do good. Save your account. Stay alive. And then again, good premiums, good cheap premiums. That's a good part of the USA buying Bitcoin with tariff revenue. Let's just one step at a time. Maybe we'll get like, I don't know, like no income tax first or something. So we'll see. Some banks give guidance on different segments, so it just depends. But some of them pulled, I think. I think one of them did. How bonds and TLT are affected by interest rates? They are interest rates, pretty much. TLT is a ETF that holds bonds. And then again, bonds are, it's like a type of security, an asset that's like a commitment, and the interest rate represents its risk and its return. You know, you'd be surprised, bro. I mean it like not in a dickish way. You know, just go give Chat GPT a whirl or like Grok and just, you know, he could explain some shit to you. Make him watch my video and ask him some questions. My opinion on the question to Besant regarding the credit line and the current R&B debt. I think it was a good question because it relates to, again, you know, it seems like Trump and Malay will get along and that we're showing up to Argentina out of nowhere. Because again, no one's really paid much attention to Argentina, so I think it's an important one in terms of like China's influence. But Besant said he's chill for now. I mean, again, all of Besant's answers is just playing it cool. So we'll see where he leads it. But I think he has it. I don't know. You tell me. I don't know if you heard this. I interpret it like this, but Besant had a comment. I don't know if I could find it. I think I might be able to get you the first clip, but Besant was saying how he was talking about China dumping, and he was saying wait till China like dumps on everybody, and in a weird way, I think they want like trade deals prior, but in a weird way, I think Besant's backup plan is I genuinely think he thinks China's just going to dump on everybody and piss him off. And I thought that was very, very fascinating. So let me see. Scott Best. Let me see if I could get you the clip. Scott Besson. Yeah.
So
would you guys like to hear? We could listen in 2 times speed, and that way you could get it. It's very slow. So we're gonna listen to 2 times speed. Bear with me. Okay.
At a time when the IMF has just announced this $20 billion agreement with Argentina, but we haven't seen a Treasury Secretary come to Argentina since Trump's first administration, and that was for a G20. So why the emphasis from the Trump administration on Argentina?
Well, Anne-Marie, a couple reasons. The reason for being here today is today's a fourth.
I want to get to the one I want you to say.
The Malay administration has done 3 adjustments, and this marks the beginning of the 3rd one. So they did a large fiscal adjustment, a large monetary adjustment, and they announced on Friday a large currency adjustment. IMF has allocated $20 billion to them. The World Bank has allocated $12 billion, and I wanted to come here today to show support for President Malay and his commitment to what I think is historic in terms of bringing Argentina back from the precipice.
When it comes to the trade negotiations, I'm sure you spoke with President Malay about the 10% rate that Argentina was hit with. Do you think at some point that can come down to 0?
Look, I think we're going to start the negotiations, and just like with everyone else, I'm telling them bring your A game. We'll see what you got, and we'll go from there.
Can any country go to 0?
We'll see. I don't know what's going to happen with the negotiations because we've got a whole box of things we've got to overcome: tariff, non-tariff trade barriers, currency manipulation, and subsidization of labor and facilities. So there's a big menu there.
There's been an early focus on Latin America writ large from the Trump administration in the first 100 days. Is Latin America policy also, in a sense,
drew down $5 billion, and that will remain outstanding? The Chinese show very good faith effort after the announcement, or in conjunction with the Japanese on Wednesday, South Korea next week. So it's going to move fast. But the important thing for your viewers to know is we're setting up a process, and we are going to run that process. It's going to be orderly, and at the end of the day, especially for the most important trading partners, the president's going to be involved.
So when it comes to the current negotiations this week, you're also sitting down again with before the 90 days is up.
Oh, I think there could be numerous.
He wrote that President Donald Trump has cracked a lot of eggs. Now, Scott Besant, we have exemptions now, though.
China's business model is like from that Disney movie where the brooms are carrying the buckets.
Yeah, right here.
They're not. But look, I think now that we have the China tariffs in place, that they're going to want to have some protection from Chinese goods flooding their markets.
Right here.
That China's business model is like from that Disney movie where the brooms are carrying the buckets. Like they're not going to stop manufacturing because the U.S. has a tariff wall up, so those goods are going to go somewhere.
Where do you think they're going to dump?
Well, I think it depends on the good.
We have exemptions now, though, for electronics, so we still expect electronics to come into the United States with the smaller tariff rate, the fentanyl, 20%.
But you were asking where are they going to dump. I think it will depend on what is the good. Higher value-added manufacturing goods, likely in Europe, Canada, in the G7, and then kind of more of the baubles and knickknacks in the global South.
China's Commerce Ministry came out when the tariff.
Okay. So that right there, bro, that right there, I think is his backup plan, because that doesn't make sense in terms of like how they're, saying they want to come to a deal. And they're like, yeah, we want to get this type of deal because, again, he's just saying, well, if we do play this game, I mean, China's motto, like, even if we don't end up buying, it's not an off-ramp. He's just saying, like, what are all these countries going to do? So let's say it kind of stays extended and we don't buy from China. Hypothetically, where is all of that shit going to go? That's what he's saying. He's saying that China's business model, those goods aren't going to stop. So he's saying even if we say we're tariffing and we're not going to buy from them, they're not going to stop producing a ton of steel. And even then, just because we need rare earth materials and tariff it, do you think they're going to stop producing them and selling them? They're just going to start dumping them and selling them everywhere else. That's what he's saying. So I think it's their backup plan, which I think is kind of that's more aggressive, sadly, because that means this would be longer and more of an extended trade war, and you would have to wait till China and the world saw that. But I thought that was interesting. But that was part of what I was saying earlier. During that speech, he talked about the bonds. He talked about, what was it? I think it was here towards the end.
From the Fed chair, I think we heard from Governor Collins things, and our staffs are always just every week percent. And see, the dollar can go up and down if you get leverage.
So you're not concerned at this moment about the U.S. dollar or the U.S. Treasury losing safe haven asset?
No, look,
we're still a global reserve currency.
We are still done. Took off for the remainder of his term.
Have you spoken to the Fed at all about contingency plans, though, if financial stability risks flare up?
Chair Powell and I have breakfast every week, and we discuss a wide range of things. And our staffs are always in contact. We have a markets room; they have a markets room. But and specifically, did we discuss some kind of a break the glass? I think we're a long way from that.
So when was the last time you guys spoke? You had breakfast last week?
We had breakfast last week, and it was an away game. I was over at the Fed.
And no concern so far from the Fed chair and what he saw in the Treasury market?
I think we would have heard from the Fed chair. I think we heard from Governor Collins of Boston on Friday. We heard from Governor Weller today on his thoughts on what tariffs mean. So it seems like business as usual.
He said they eat breakfast weekly. Every week they say weekly breakfast or lunch, whatever. Said that no break glass scenario. So they're a long way from that. And then you know what else he said? He said they both have market firms. That's a fun fact for you guys. They both got little trading desks. I don't know if you guys knew that. It's kind of funny. Sometimes you're trading against Powell and Bassett in a weird way. It's a fun fact. But other than that, that's what I was saying, where it's like, it's kind of weird because even then it is kind of a united front, but it's not like sound and resilient. They're not reassuring you everything's good. But then he's like, nah, we have breakfast. We're a long way from break glass. So he's pretty much, he talked about it. He said somebody blew up. He's pretty much saying maybe somebody got over levered, but he called it a VAR shock, a VAR shock, he didn't call it anything else besides that. So I thought it was very interesting. But other than that, I think when it's all said and done, though, it's kind of part of the vibe, Things haven't gotten worse. Over the weekend, things didn't get bad. The rumor was good enough to even hold up. There were some details. You're still holding up now, and then even then, these comments, we'll see how the market takes it. We'll see what we get tomorrow, but other than that, Wednesday, we got a couple more catalysts, and we will see where it leads us from there, my friends. But any final questions? Do I think Jerome Powell will affect the market? On Wednesday, I think he could. So as of late, I mean, people have been more worried about other things, but if this is one of those weeks where we kind of chill out, maybe there is a heightened focus. Or don't ever forget, Powell, at any given moment, Powell can make himself important. I don't think we have to worry about it right now, but just like you guys saw with the trade war, a trade deal is important. But make no mistake, at any given moment, Powell can become important. Do you guys understand? Seriously, all he has to do is just wake up a little bit more aggressive or be a little bit more happy. Again, he says the right set of words in a clear-cut manner. I mean, you could have a very, very big day from that man. So I don't think he wants that heat right now. He doesn't want that attention. And, he could kind of play his thing. But other than that, I think we should be good. But we'll definitely be listening for that. I think everybody will be on edge, especially if tomorrow's calm too. Just imagine, the calm, every day that's calm, I feel like there's going to be like a lurking tension that builds. So we'll see where it takes us, my friends. But Chad, I'm going to leave you guys on that. I got to get going here. I appreciate you all. You have a great evening. I will see you in the morning, God willing, and have a good rest, man. This is a good Monday. Let's see. Maybe we have a calm week. We stroll through. It's been a while, man. Appreciate a calm week, baby. But have a great rest. You are blessed, my friends. And remember, you got to pick your battles. That's it, man. Don't get distracted with the wrong ones, baby. You don't even got to explain it. Just stay on the right path, baby. Finger to the sky. God is good, baby. You are blessed. And no matter what, be prepared for all of it. Disappointment, good or bad, baby. I'll see you at the end of the year. Amen. God willing, amen. Finger to the sky, baby. I love you. Have a wonderful evening, and peace out. Horn.